like to call this meeting to order, and we did meet and have a work session at 6 p.m. And I would like to acknowledge that. And if everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let's see. Our next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes.
I'd like to make a motion that the board approve the executive session and regular session minutes of April 2nd, 2026.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion by the board? If not, please place your vote. And that passes 7-0. Thank you, board. Our next item on the agenda is the financial reports, and our student reps are not here, so Secretary Porras, would you please read the vouchers?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have vouchers. We have school education, $913,592.67. We have education forum curriculum materials, $1,000, $773.75. We have exempt operating post, 2009, $253,798.39. School operations, $784,037.08. School lunch, $134,101.73. Self-insurance fund, $229,932.26. Community gifts and donations, $747.55. Building brickies, $77.76. Early Years Initiative Grant, $1,220.92. Healthy Hobart, BFTS, $231.36. Indiana Learns, $967.85. Secured School Safety Grant, $92,500. High Ability, $3,024. Title I, Part A, Fiscal Year 25-26, $8,706.72. Title II, Part A, Fiscal Year 25-26, $3,489.15. Clearing accounts, $416,370.64. Self-insurance clearing, $71,244.92. Clearing flexible benefits, AF, $62,635.34. Prepaid food, $99. Clearing insurance account, $4,402.67. Total vouchers is $2,982,953.76.
Thank you.
Okay.
Board, your pleasure.
I'd like to make a motion that the board approve the payment of the vouchers for April 16th, 2026.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Board, is there any discussion?
Thank you for reading them, Frank.
Yep, thank you.
That was a rough one. Welcome.
And that passes 7-0. Thank you, board. Are there any comments on the agenda items from the audience? Okay, if not, thank you. And next is our personnel recommendation. Mr. Mock.
Board, in your electronic packet, you received a copy of a personnel recommendation or a personnel item, I should say, that's being recommended in accordance with the provisions of Indiana Code 2026-511.2, and I would request board action.
I'd like to make a motion that the board approve the personnel recommendation as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Board, is there any discussion? If not, please place your vote. And that passes 7-0. Thank you, Board. And next on the agenda item is personnel report. Mr. Mock.
All right, board, in your electronic packet, you've received a copy of the personnel report, which I need to make a verbal correction to. We had an update this afternoon. The leave of absence for Rita Bates will begin on May 11th. In addition to that, you also have the ECA personnel report and a personnel report addendum, all for April 16th, that I would request board action.
Thank you. Board?
I recommend the board approve the personnel report as presented.
Second.
Was I late?
We have a motion and a second. Board, is there any discussion? If not, please place your vote. And that passes 7-0. Thank you, Board. Next item on the agenda is the presentation and recognition of the Hobart High School Bricky Mentors. Dr. Buffington?
That's right. I'm going to call up Mrs. Mathis, our Director of SEL. We're going to go over to the podium because we're streaming, and that's where they can see us. And then I don't see Mr. Zolad's out there. Is he out there? No. Okay. All right. And we'll go right over there, and then we're going to talk to you about our mentorship program. Well, first of all, thank you to all of the students that were able to come tonight, because I know it's a very busy time for all of you. And thank you to the parents that came tonight, too. It's really, because we are honoring something that we just started, and we couldn't have done it without the students that are present here tonight. And of course, my wonderful Director of SEL, Mrs. Mathis, the Dean of Students, Mr. Zolads, was instrumental as well. So let me kind of tell you how this started. Way back in 2009, we talked about having a mentor program, and we called them Bricky Ambassadors, and literally, because we just opened the high school, they were tour guides. I mean, like, I trained them how to give tours of the building. People were getting lost, and and so, you know, I put up a few more banners with arrows so that people wouldn't get lost. They really were not what we intended it to be as mentors. And so then there was a student named Boyana last year. She actually was our valedictorian last year. And she had talked to me prior to her senior year that she really thought we needed a mentor program. And I was like, yes, we do. We need it. We need it. And then Xu Jing, who happens to be our student board rep, she's actually on a college visit at the university. Well, I'm not going to tell you because she's out visiting Ivy League schools, which is really fun. And I don't want to put pressure on her where she's going to go. But anyways, after Boyana graduated, Xu Jing and I had another conversation, and I said, you know who really needs it? It's freshmen. If we cannot do other people, we really need to concentrate on freshmen. They dig a hole, they can't get out of it, and they lose credits, and it's really very difficult. And so for an example, you'll have seniors that are missing 12 credits because they failed classes their freshman and sophomore year. And so, I have that problem right now. I have seniors that I'm trying to get them over the finish line. And so through Xu Jing, and I want to say Boyana and Xu Jing did amazing work. Mrs. Mathis and I took a hold of it, and we said, all right, these were student ideas that were really concrete. Let's try to put that down on a calendar. We spent a ton of time trying to put it in a calendar, and then we had to recruit people. Now, you're looking at some of the students that we recruited, they didn't have to do this. And we we literally said, we need your help to help freshmen. And you're looking at some students today that Mrs. Mathis and I want to recognize because they could have been going to a power hour where they could do whatever they wanted to do, yet they spent time with us preparing a lesson and then delivering the lesson to freshmen. Now, I can say I should let some of them come up here and talk about this experience. I'm looking at you. You're making me laugh. Because they found out it's difficult to keep their attention, right? And so, but I can't say enough how proud I am of them because they held their own and they delivered time management. What does it mean to take a final exam? How much of that is your grade? How do you write goals? How do you monitor your goals? Why should you participate in extracurricular? What are some things that you could do to belong? And I mean, like, we could tell you every lesson, but they just did a great job with it. And we're here to just recognize how wonderful they were. I'm going to have Mrs. Mathis talk a little bit. When we call you up, if you want to say a few words, we'd love to have you say a few words. But I can also just say, some of you I've watched from, I hate to say with my age, kindergarten, and just seeing how you've grown and matured, and pretty soon you'll be leaving us as seniors, and that'll make me sad. But on the same token, I can't be prouder of you. You're just outstanding students, and thank you for your dedication to helping other people aspire to be their best version of themselves, right? So Mrs. Mathis, you want to say a few words as well?
Sure. I just am so proud of each one of you for taking this on. And I know some of the lessons were maybe a little uncomfortable for just how the structure of it was. And then also knowing that you may have had your 4 or 5 students or your 6 or 7 students and then there was an absence or what have you, right? Shelby, I'm always like, just stay right here. I have 4 more kids for you, right? So all of you just showed up for that lesson, for that day, right? And whatever was asked of you, you came through, right? And even how those 9th graders showed up, some days they were in good moods, some days they wanted to interact, some days they didn't, and you made the very best of that session. So that perseverance that you have shown, that growth that you have shown over the course of the year has been tremendous. And after the first session, we came back and Mr. Huladz and Dr. Buffington and I are like high-fiving. We couldn't be more proud of you because to see you in action just made our hearts so warm and just happy, truly, be seeing you interact with those 9th graders. No matter if you felt like it was a little bit more of a pull on your comfort zone or not, you all found your way, and that was the best thing that we could have happen. So just encouraged by the growth that you had, and we can't wait to continue that. So those of you that are on the junior list, I hope that you want to continue this as we develop that. And then also as we look into May, having all of us come together and really having you be instrumental in what next year looks like too. So it's just not from what was designed this year, but really getting your input on that really helps the program grow.
And I would just say too, just in terms of leadership, I mean, because once we did a lesson with you on what the expectation was, you took the ball and you ran with it. And each one of your groups maybe were a little different because you had students that maybe were responding or not responding, and you had to make it your own. And I loved when you said, wow, that was a tough lesson, or my group was tough this time. And it was good that you could come back and give us feedback on what you needed to make it better. I can't say enough about what you did, and hopefully we can look at our data and we see less failure, right? So what we'll do is we'll go back and look at what do we think the failures were compared to last year to this year, and try to see the impact that you made. For the parents' purposes, like Mrs. Mathis said, we actually asked the mentors to give us feedback to make the program better next year, and we want to continue to do this. I think just in terms of leadership and trying to help other people, that's what we're always about. We're about service. Let's help people become their best version of themselves, and these students just did that. When we asked students what would be, this was Shu Jing's idea, who is not here. Shu Jing is all about the swag. And she's like, we want a cord for graduation. And we give out a lot of cords at graduation for an associate's degree, the Indiana College Corps, if you got a certification, if you're in ROTC, and if you're in HOSA, if you're in business. And I said, oh my gosh, Mrs. Mathis, they're going to have so many cords, their necks will be weighed down. But you truly deserve the cord that we're going to give you for graduation. I'm looking back at you, Emily. Yep, you have quite a few on. And we're going to give you a certificate of appreciation because you started something that we've been trying to do since 2009, and you actually did it. And you know, a lot of times it is about execution and being able to carry it through. And this group did it, and we couldn't have done it without you. Thank you for being gracious. Thank you for volunteering, and keep up the good work. Keep being great leaders, no matter where you go or what you do. Are you ready, Mrs. Mathis?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I have a list too.
All right, you call up
But
the
let
name.
Let me grab a few more cords because
Yeah, well, Mrs. Schoon put everything in alphabetical order, so I'm ready.
I know Peyton's here. So Peyton Bood.
Peyton,
Come on out.
an amazing mentor. Yeah, Mr. Payne, take a picture. Here. Right up there.
Yeah, I got a whole nother here. However, will you keep this in a safe space?
Of course you will.
Am I supposed to be? Let's see, and then.
Right up here.
Nope, she's not here. Next.
And then face them.
Well, I'm not sure. She probably has it. It'll probably be Naomi. Yep, there we go. Naomi Camp. I put it on you too.
Yeah, and you always showed up with a smile.
I
We
know.
appreciate that. There you go, sweetie. Right up there.
And then probably Emily is next. Yep,
It's Emily.
Tennis, so.
And she's icing.
Ooh, that was perfect.
Are you hurt?
Yeah.
All right, so
Had a beautiful
did you win?
Because they're so busy.
That's why you're hurt? It's okay, Emily.
Let's see. Probably Tegan would be next alphabetically.
Yeah,
Yep,
Tegan.
Tegan.
Amazing mentor.
I know. Thank you.
Here you go. Thank you very much. Looks good on you.
And then let's see. Lauren would probably be next alphabetically.
I'm Lauren Dill. Yeah.
Lauren, come on up.
Okay. Is a new student to Hobart, and she's been an amazing mentor. And I don't even know if you want to say anything, Lauren, but we're really glad that you're a Brickie because you just made mentoring wonderful.
I love to hear.
Yeah, you can say it in the microphone if you want.
I love to hear.
You are awesome.
That's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alice?
Yep, Ellis, and then probably Michaela, and then Vivian, so Ellis. Ellis, come on up.
She did. She had really tough groups, but she persevered. You go, Ellis.
That's because of these
And then probably Michaela.
Okay, I have to say this about Michaela. Michaela is going into education, and I have to tell you, like, she's a natural. I never worried about her groups being under control. They were totally on task, doing their lesson, and I have to tell you, she's a natural at being a teacher. And I hope she comes back someday so that I could give her a job.
Oh, awesome.
Usually on the days that we had our time together for lessons, so she would show up and I'd be like, okay, this is the lesson. You're gonna do this and this and this, and then she'd
She's
go
a
right
worker.
in and yeah, just be able to meet with the group and carry out the lesson. Okay, probably Davian. Oh, right here. Davian, come on up.
Davian is wise beyond his years. He always gave us really good input on how we should handle things, and I couldn't be prouder of you for being a mentor. Wise beyond your years. I should have done the chords.
Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, and then probably Shelby's gonna be next, and then Lily.
Oh.
You came in the second session, and I was like, just wait right here, I'll make you a group, and it was
Yeah.
just all
She-
the students that were absent or
Yeah,
what have
she
you.
always
Yes.
had what was left over and just took them.
Yeah.
And so we appreciate that. You just were really very good at, on the fly, taking whatever you needed to.
And then Lillian.
Come on up.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you so much for your
You made it
insight and
through,
amazing work
right?
that you did.
I'm just so proud of all of you. It has been such a great year working with each one of you and getting to know you. But especially, I'll say it again, seeing you in action with the other students and leading them has just been incredible. So yes, please be very proud of yourself.
Right, exactly. And we should take a picture with them.
Okay.
So, Mr. King will take a picture of us. Can you
Closer
get all of us,
together.
Mr. King, or do you need to squeeze?
Squeeze together.
Squeeze together so you can't see us.
That's right. Here's me, I'm like moving.
Wait, yes. All right, she's going on that side.
Not me, I'm going down.
I can't. My eyes are all over.
All right, a special thank you again, and if you were a junior, I hope you're returning. Okay, awesome job. Thanks again. We'll see you at the end of the year for our little party as you're going away and get more feedback. Thank you to the parents for coming out tonight, celebrating your kids. They're awesome. Thank you. You guys have a natural educator in your family.
Okay,
Thank you, Mrs. Mathis.
all right.
Thank you, Mrs. Mathis.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to continue on with our meeting, so if those of you that have work or homework or things you have to do, please feel that you can go ahead and scatter if you'd like. And we're gonna move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the Food Services Employees Recognition Day. And that's gonna be Dr. Buffington.
All right, before we give it to our secretary to read the resolution, our Department of School Nutrition is just amazing. I just am so proud of them for just how they are really talking about nutrition with our students. And I was able to go to the middle school this week in particular, and at the middle school, what was really spectacular, I go into the cafe, into the kitchen area before the kids come in, and Patrick Ryba-King was in there just looking at things, and he goes, Dr. Buffington, doesn't this just look so beautiful? And I said, it does. I mean, it was so inviting. The food looked great. The containers, it just looked inviting, like I would like to eat that for lunch. And that's the way all of our kitchens look. And I just can't say enough about the hard work that he's doing. He's being challenged in a lot of different ways with federal programming changes and just the way the state and others are doing reimbursements. He's always out there looking for what are they giving away. He'll apply for it. But he always has students at the forefront of, would they like this? And is this appetizing? Is it good for them? And then when you look at the staff that has to execute and put it out, and they do such a great job. And, you know, that's also where our catering system comes from. And, you know, everybody loves our catering system. So I would just say, we love this department. They're self-supporting, you know, except for a few things that we do pay for. But they do an amazing job, and they deserve recognition. So I'll turn it over to our secretary for the resolution, and hats off to them for always being excellent on purpose. Bye. You can go back and tell them we recognize them. I'll send it out tomorrow. Okay, thanks, hon.
Yes, we have resolution number 2026-12, School Nutrition Employees Appreciation Day.
Thank you. Ford.
I'd like to make a motion that the board adopt resolution number 2026-12 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And if there is any discussion before Mr. Porras does a roll call. Nope.
There's kudos to them.
Yep.
Mhm. Okay, David Cosby,
Aye.
Don Rogers.
Aye.
Brad Keane,
Aye.
Stuart Schultz.
Aye.
Frank Porras votes aye. Sandy Hillen,
Aye.
and Ricky Guthrie.
Aye. And that passes 7-0. Thank you, board.
I don't have an electronic.
I'm waiting on one more electronic
Yeah,
vote.
I'm sorry. I
No,
have
that's
to-
okay.
I have to log out and log back in. Something, it's not syncing, so.
I've tried to help you too.
You know.
Well, I don't know how much help that was.
That's why he's out.
There we go.
Thank you, Mr. Keene.
Okay.
All right, and the next item on our agenda is Teacher Recognition Day. That again is Dr. Buffington with a resolution followed by Mr. Porras' reading there.
Well, this is one of the most amazing days it's always important to recognize all of our employees, but these are the folks that are making it happen in the classroom and helping kids reach their dreams. And I can't say enough about our teaching staff, how hard they work, how dedicated they are, and getting the job done. You know, when you think about there's approximately 4,000 students, just a hair under right now. And then you think about the end result. And I always look at the end result. And I think that that's what people should look at too. Because every child grows at a different rate, right? And, you know, it's amazing when they first come to us, if they have challenges or they have expertise in an area they're excelling in, what do they have interest in, and they're passionate about, and trying to help every student find what that is. And, you know, I know that you understand what it means to be at graduation and see them walk across the finish line. And where are they going next on their journey, K-12? And it's not possible without the amazing staff that we have. And they're so dedicated. You know, when I think about our early college stats, and you think about 21% of the class of 2025 graduated with an associate's degree. The class of 2024, 30% of them graduated with an associate's degree. But let's go back to the class of 2025. 21% graduated with an associate's degree, 30% graduated with 1 year of college, 44% of those students graduated with a credential, such as a certification that could take them right into employment. And that doesn't include the military. And then, of course, we have students that are already going into the workforce. And so it's just amazing stats. And we couldn't have that without the teachers that we have. And so hats off to them. You know, as many times as we talk about being excellent on purpose, that's who these people are. They work every day with intention, and they come to work doing their absolute best that they can, and we're grateful for them. And I know their students are too. I'll never forget Steve Balish saying, sometimes it takes them 10 years to realize how much they appreciated me, but they eventually get it, right? And so some of them get it right away, some of them think back and that teacher that made a difference for them. So with that being said, I wanted to say thank you to our teachers, and we will definitely recognize you as the amazing individuals you are. And I always say that we are the hope for humanity. We truly are. Mr. Secretary.
Yeah, so here at the School City of Hobart, we have a resolution, number 2026-13, the National Teacher Appreciation Day.
Board, your pleasure.
I'd like to make a motion that the board adopt resolution number 2026-13 as presented.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Porras, if you would do roll call, please.
Yes. Okay, David Cosby,
Aye.
Don Rogers.
Aye.
Brad Keane,
Aye.
Stuart Schultz,
Aye.
Frank Porras votes aye. Sandy Hillen,
Aye.
and Ricky Guthrie.
Aye. And that's a 7-0 vote. Thank you, Board. Next item on the agenda is the School Nurse Appreciation Day. Dr. Buffington?
Well, these are more amazing individuals that work here in the school city of Hobart. And I can just say that, you know, for many of our children, when they come here, that it's like, that's like going to the doctor's office. They treat our nurses as if they're going to the doctor. And every little boo-boo, or every severity that may happen on the playground or in gym or whatever, they love going to the nurse's office. Now, I would say at the middle school, maybe some of them like to go there a little too often, but you know, that's another story. I will just say these are incredible people, and I want to take you back to COVID. This school district was able to stay open except for the time that everybody was closed down by the government. And when we reopened, we never shut down again. And it was because of these incredible people. And there was a time, and John Mock will remember this, we were so close that I even had to have Ricky come and fill in for me one time. They all but one nurse came down with COVID. And that one nurse went around delivering meds at every single school. And I just can't even imagine that, but we are lost without them. They're nurturing, caring, they follow through with healthcare plans, they administer just like a hospital would, or a doctor's office would. They're so succinct with how they do things to take care of our kids. And you know, when I first started in our school district, we had one nurse that took care of the whole district, and you could never do that today. You just could not. And now there's one in every school. I do want to highlight the nurses also that work here at the high school and Liberty, our health coordinator, student health coordinator, Jamie Knoll, Randy Candiano, and Jill Coughlin. They are also part of our healthcare program here, so they work part-time in the clinic, and then they teach a college class the other part of their day. That's where our CNA and dementia program is, and then we're moving into CCMA next year, and we have some students that will be in the LPN program, which is pretty exciting. And so, can't say enough about the nurses. They do a fantastic job, and just hats off to them. And every time I'm at their buildings, you know, because they're part of the main office complex, I always hear really great stories that you're like, whoa, that's interesting. But they're always there just taking care of kids, and I admire that for them. So with that being said, turn it back over to Mr. Secretary.
Yes, we have a resolution from the School City of Hobart, resolution number 2026-14, School Nurse Appreciation Day.
I'd like to make a motion that the board adopt resolution number 2026-14 as presented.
Second.
Board, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Porras will do roll call, and there is also a electronic vote as well.
Okay, David Cosbade,
Aye.
Don Rogers,
Aye.
Brad King,
Aye.
Stuart Schultz,
Aye.
Frank Porras votes aye, Sandy Hillen,
Aye.
and Ricky Guthrie.
Aye. And that passes 7-0. Thank you, Board. Our next item on the agenda is an overnight extended student trip request for the Hobart High School BPA National Leadership Conference.
That's right. And in your electronic packet, you have a copy of this overnight trip, and this is an opportunity for our students to be at the National Leadership Conference in Nashville for the Business Professionals of America. And this trip will be May 6th through the 10th. Mrs. Torres is their sponsor, and they will compete as a part of a case study for a global marketing team, and they will attend other professional development. This is a great opportunity for these students. Their parents are very supportive of this, as are we. And so we ask the board to take action in accepting this recommendation to allow them to attend.
I'd like to make a motion that the board approve the overnight extended trip for the BPA club members to attend their National Leadership Conference as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
As usual, her documentation is always very well done, so.
Well, the trustee Pat Schoon, we gave her a really good copy of someone that did it well. And so I said, Pat, make sure you give her a copy of so-and-so so that it's done well. And that's kind of what we do. We kind of keep copies that where if they've done a thorough job, we can say this is what it should look like, right? So she did a very nice job.
Makes for an easy read, I'll tell you that.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time we've gone to nationals, correct?
Mhm. It usually falls with prom and some other things, and students just, they're not gonna give up their prom or whatever to go to that, so timing is good.
Yep. And we pass 7-0. Thank you, board. All right, next on the item agenda is transfer of funds from the education fund to the operations fund.
So board, for the budget year 2026, $5,941,561 was approved for transfer from the education fund to the operation fund. As the board knows, we can transfer up to 15% out of the education fund to the operation fund. To date, 0 has been transferred. And so in terms of the request, we're looking to transfer $1,325,000 from the education fund to the operation funds. That'll leave a balance of $4,616,561 available for additional transfers throughout the end of the calendar year. Board action is requested for this transfer.
I'd like to make a motion that the board approve the transfer as presented and authorize the treasurer of the school city of Hobart to transfer $1,325,000 from the education fund to the operation fund.
Second?
Board, we have a motion and a second. If you could place your vote, please. And that passes 7-0. Thank you. And the next item on our agenda is the resolution and the first reading of that resolution to adopt updates to our Hobart School Board policy. Mr. Longer?
Board, you have before you Resolution 2026-15, which presents to you proposed amendments, replacements, and rescissions of board policy to bring your bylaws and policies in line with recent changes to federal regulations or federal laws and state laws. These were all covered in our work session earlier this evening, and this is your first reading with regard to these changes. The changes as presented at the work session and contemplated by the resolution reflect the recommendation of your attorney as well as the administration with regard to changes to board to the bylaws.
Mr.
I would
Porter?
be happy to review each of those again if you'd like.
Good.
Actually, Mr. Longer, you did a beautiful job the first time around. I think we're okay for now.
Yep. Mr. Porras, if you could read the resolution, please.
Yes, we have a resolution from the School City of Hobart Board of School Trustees, resolution number 2026-15, a resolution approving amendments to the bylaws and policies of the Board of School Trustees of the School City of Hobart.
Board?
I'd like to make a motion that the board adopt resolution number 2026-15 for the bylaws and policies changes in the comprehensive document entitled Bylaws and Policies of the School City of Hobart, and move the second reading and possible adoption to May 5th, 2026 board meeting.
Second.
Second.
We were waiting over here.
We have a motion and a second. Board, is there any discussion? There it is.
Thank you, Mr. Longer, for that great explanation for all these policy changes.
thank you for all the hard work you guys put in on that. I know it's a lot to keep up with, a lot to keep us drug along, us boat anchors over here.
And I think our board policy is like 12 pages short of the Library of Congress.
And Mr. Porras, if you would do roll call and board, there's also electronic.
Yes, we have David Cosbade,
Aye.
Don Rogers.
Aye.
Brad Keane,
Aye.
Stuart Schultz,
Aye.
Frank Porras votes aye, Sandy Hillen,
Aye.
and Ricky Guthrie.
Aye.
Okay, I should just point out, when I became superintendent, the 3-ring binder that we had for board policy was awful. And I mean, it served its purposes in the day, but I was telling Bill, and it was really funny. I mean, there was taped over stuff that, like, there was a paragraph change and it would be taped over the old language. And I was just saying to him, I can't operate like this. And so that's when we made the switch to Neola. Some of these updates are a nuance and painful, but it's way better than having to deal with what we had to back in the old days. And quite frankly, you know, I'm very mobile in the district, and sometimes I'll just say, you know, to John, like, send me whatever. And it's so easy to search our policy online and just get like one search word, it pulls it up, and we're able to look at it. And so I am thankful that, you know, Bill keeps us on track, John gets the updates, we review them together. We pull in any subject matter expert in the district, like Chris King, when we really need to thoroughly look at something. But when I think about this, when we get an update, I'm like, oh, another update. But it's so much better than what it was. And so I thank you for your patience and diligence, because this is how we govern here. And it's really important that it's in top shape. So thank you to Bill, John, Chris. I know Tim has been involved with a few things as well. And yeah, I think we do a pretty good job with it. I probably need to do a better job with my administrative guidelines, but I can say many of those guidelines are just complete replicas of the policy. And so most of the time we're just following the policy because of that. But thank you all for just bearing with us as we keep that nice and tidy and up to date.
I think it's a good idea to keep the binder, though, just to scare new board members.
It would do it, trust me.
When I saw that binder 5 years ago, I definitely got scared. It's like, oh my goodness.
All right. Thank you, everyone. On the next item, we have a recommendation to accept the Indiana Department of Education Title II-A grant. That would be Dr. Buffington.
Yes, and you know, as Mrs. Hillen knows, who takes care of title grants in another school district, these grants are not like what they used to be. They're very difficult. The process is difficult, and you know, the team at central office do a really great job with the title grants that we have before us. This happens to be the Title II-A grant, and this was completed by Lori Anderson. She's our Director of Elementary Curriculum. The total amount of the grant is $115,547.41, with $2,050.63 allocated to Trinity Lutheran, a non-public school, which we are required to offer to them. The school district's allocation at that point is $113,496.78, and that will be used for professional development. You know, we've done really well with that. Besides professional development, you know, realize that many of our teachers that are early college teachers, we paid for them to get their master's degree to be eligible to teach early college. That comes with, you have to stay here and teach for a number of years in order for that to take place. And we do a lot of wonderful professional development with that money, and we are grateful for it. So I would just say to you, we'll keep doing what we're doing to make sure we have the most qualified staff and that they're on top of the work that we need to put before children. So with that being said, I'd ask that the board accept the Title II-A grant, and I thank Lori Anderson for the work.
I'd like to make a motion that the board accept Title II-A grant as presented and authorize the superintendent to execute any necessary documents for the grant.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Was there a reason why it was $15,000 less than last year?
Well,
the funding
you have
side, or-
more schools that get money out of it, so every time you have charter schools that pop up or whatever, they get a portion of it. And so, that's just how it goes. I am keeping my fingers crossed because we're getting ready to get Title I allocations, if we get them. We didn't get them till so late. Last year, we didn't get the allocation. What did we get it, September?
Mm.
It was
Like,
And you know, that's a huge amount of money that pays a lot of salaries. And if there's a drastic cut to that, it's really important to know that now, not after the school year starts. So, we did get notification in particular on Title I that they were changing our category. I don't know what that's gonna mean for us. I do look at the poverty level, and I think the poverty level went up a little bit, so I was surprised at how they were gonna say that my category changed. So, these federal grants have just changed drastically, but the more schools that you have that are sharing the pie, the less money you're gonna get. And that's really what it comes down to. So that could be part of the factors with Title I as well. We'll just have to wait and see. So let's keep our fingers crossed that it's not that drastic of a cut.
And they also use census data to determine
Yeah.
the amounts, and that's kind of, it's hard to backtrack and figure out if it's accurate.
Well,
Wow.
one year, because of the census data, we went up significantly, and I was like, oh my gosh, did they make a mistake on this? I literally called the Department of Ed and said, I think you gave us too much money. And they said, no, it's correct. But in the same token, I'm keeping my fingers crossed now because it could be the other way around.
Yes.
And the census data is very important to communities. I don't think people realize how important it is.
Especially if you have free lunch for all your students, which many districts do that,
Yeah.
then you can't use free and reduced lunch numbers to determine your poverty.
Right, and then
Support
when
that.
we distribute, particularly Title I, we have to use what's called a per pupil index, and we have to look at what schools have the highest amount of poverty, they get allocated the most amount of money, so that's where you'll see they get additional staff because of what their per pupil index is. And it is calculated to the penny. You have to be so exact that the schools are actually in our district ranked by per pupil index. And that's how we allocate how we put staff at those buildings. It's complicated, it really is.
Do we have any schools that switch places from year to year?
Yeah, so I can tell you last year, when you only have 237 kindergartners, they took a serious hit at the Early Learning Center last year. So I can only have a half of a title person there, and of course that did not make their principal happy, but it is what it is. I mean, if you only have 237 kids, it's really a kid problem in terms of your overall population. So so with that being said, actually too, her free and reduced lunch numbers went down, and she took a significant hit by only being able to have a half of a person. And so veterans, on the other hand, you know, one year they received so much of the allocation because their free and reduced lunch numbers were 63%. And so when your numbers are that high, then the other schools are like, why do they get 4 interventionists? Because that's where the poverty is. And they don't realize that there's a calculation per pupil index that we have to follow. And so when we do the math, it'll tell us how many people that we can allot there. And then the other factor we have to take into play is what is their overall salary with their benefit package. And so that comes into play, and so sometimes you'll see me maneuver and I'll move people around just to fit that per pupil index to keep the staffing as close to what I can to give them the most amount of services. I don't like to do that, and they don't like when I do that either because they like the school that they're at. But if it helps me preserve a body, then I do what I have to do, right? It's just a complicated process, but we get through it and we do well at it. I think we would definitely be lost without those dollars. We would be.
There's something called hold harmless too, where
Yeah.
we can kind of figure that will be similar the following year within 10%. So that we can plan for the future.
I just hope they get our allocations out early.
Before the grants due. It helps.
If there's no longer any discussion, board, you may vote on the item. And that passes 7-0. Thank you, board. Next on our items agenda is the updates, announcements, and reports. Dr. Buffington.
Board, in your packet, you have a copy of all of our weekly agendas and the Brick Center newsletter for your pleasures to read later.
And our next item is the updates, activities, and events.
All right. Well, we always have a lot going on in the month of April and May. As you know, right now, iLearn testing started, and we had a power outage today. That was not helpful. But I did get a nice report from Debbie Mathis that it looks like it did not persist longer than 20 minutes, and we didn't have any failure reports that they were showing at the Department of Ed. So that's good. Our second part of the Anxious Generation is coming up April 21st. We have a transportation job fair April 23rd. We so need bus drivers, and so I hope a lot of people come out and just see what it's like to drive a bus. It'll be a lot of fun at the service center. We'll take them around in a bus, and we'll even train them to be bus drivers. Then you have the iLearn Biology, April 27th through May 15th. We have the Bricky Bolt on May 3rd. We have an e-learning day on May 5th. We have a mental health fair on May 6th. And we have first grade orientation on May 21st. I would also just like to say, under updates, announcements, and reports, due to the fact that our early college graduates will be graduating from Ivy Tech with their degrees and certifications on May the 7th, which is your normally scheduled board meeting. We are going to move that board meeting to May the 5th on a Tuesday in order for me to attend their graduation ceremonies. So take note, everyone, the next board meeting will be on May the 5th. So that we can attend Ivy Tech graduation for our wonderful students that has that credential graduating from high school. Pretty amazing.
All righty, thank you. And our next item is comments. Dr. Buffington.
Well, I can say it has been the busiest 2 weeks ever, but it's been extremely rewarding. I want to thank, there's tons of people, like Chris King was here with me last night for kindergarten orientation for parents. Chris Connor has basically worked every night up in the booth as we've had freshman orientation, kindergarten orientation. We've had performances. We've had all kinds of things going on in the school district. I do have to highlight one of my favorites, though, and just give a shout out to the amazing music teachers at our elementary schools. So Saturday was the elementary musical, and it's a music festival, and it's where Veterans Choir, Joanne Martin's choir, and Liberty's Ukulele Club, these are all after-school clubs, they all come together at 1 o'clock on Saturday. They do practices, and then at 3 o'clock they perform for the audience. And they've never been together except for at 1 o'clock on Saturday. And they call it a music festival. And when you get there, it seems kind of chaotic. It's not. And then all of the audience comes, and what a performance. And I don't know if any of you've ever attended it, But my favorite is at the end when the ukulele club at Liberty plays the music and the choir sing to them playing. And this year they included the xylophone and the bells, and it was really fascinating. And it's just great to see how they all come together because, you know, they are a cohort. They will graduate together and they will be with each other. And it's just a lot of fun to see them have that much love for music. They're all after school and how they all just come together. And it was a pretty full house. You know, when people come to the middle school auditorium, it may not look that full because that place houses 1,200 people. But there were a lot of people there on Saturday, and it was a lot of fun. I was extremely proud of the teachers and the kids. I will say I did have one of those superintendent panic moments. Joanne Martin's choir, they were doing Don't Stop Believin', and one of the boys, because they were really getting into it, he fell off the riser onto the ground. And you know me, like panic, I'm like, okay, I gotta save this boy. But he bounced right back up and got up, and I felt bad for him. I was hoping he wouldn't be embarrassed, and he was fine. But it was just really good. I can say for people coming in for the orientations, I won't tell where this person was from, but I shared this with the administrators, and it's just worth noting. During freshman orientation here, we were done with our presentations and they could tour the building. And there was this family that had on purple, and they had H's on their t-shirts and everything, and I'm just thinking, you know, they're from Hobart. And the mom introduces herself to me, and she calls her daughter over, and she's like, this is Dr. Buffington. And I said, nice to meet you. And she said, I want to go here so badly. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, well, thanks for coming to freshman orientation. She said, I don't live here. She said, but I applied for open enrollment. And they came to freshman orientation. And I said, oh. And I said, well, that was really smart of you to come to freshman orientation. I really don't know what our numbers are going to look like yet. And she said, I would be a great student here, I promise you that. And she was going through all of this stuff, just trying to convince me that she should be a student here. And I was very impressed with her. Then John told me the next day they came to the counter to deliver their enrollment packet. Do you want to say what they said, John?
So they came, and it was a family affair. And again, they were all in purple. And they all shook my hand. And the student was talking very highly of freshman orientation and meeting Dr. Buffington, and wanted to ensure that there was a note that she had written specifically for Dr. B, that she would get that note with the application. But they spoke so highly of what we offer here, and you could tell that they really want their daughter to have the opportunities that we provide.
Yep.
It was heartwarming, and I walked away from the counter feeling great, and then I was super confused because Beth Black wasn't there, and I didn't know what to do with the application. But other than that, it was great.
Yeah, and so, you know, you never know. And so sometimes when it's in your own backyard, you can't really see it. And then you have people that just show up, and you're trying to figure out what they're doing here. And I mean, just to dress the part, and when John told me they were all dressed in purple, I was cracking up laughing. They desperately want to come here. And, you know, so I hope the numbers work out where she'll be able to attend here. But I think that should send a good message to our teachers and our staff and all of you that we do very good work here, and we want what's best for our kids. And evidently, you know, the secret is out there if you want to take advantage. There are limited spots that you could come here, right? So that concludes my comments, unless I forgot something, and you know I'll chime in.
Mr. King?
Well,
Oh, I forgot the Makers Fair. You got to talk about that.
Oh, okay. Before I go to that, though, I'm really excited to report on some Bricky esports stuff, because I haven't in quite a while.
Oh, yeah.
We finished our playoff season just this week, today technically, and so we've been playing through playoffs for about 5 weeks now with all of our teams. It's really exciting. We've got 3 teams that made it into state finals, so they'll be going down a week from Saturday to Noblesville to compete at
That's great.
the Arena Innovation Mile. It's a new arena down there, and so they'll be competing for that state championship. 3 of our teams, so it's pretty cool. Our one team that has gone for the last 4 years. It's kind of funny because for the last 4 years, we've played the same other high school team in the state championship, and we're playing them again this year. So it's like become a really cool, super friendly rivalry between the 2 schools.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
nerve-wracking
awesome.
though, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And we won the first 2 years. They beat us last year, so we'll see how it goes this year. We're looking
Wow.
pretty good, I think. But yeah, we're really excited, and so hopefully, we'll have some more news after that, the next board meeting. I'll be able to report back on how that.
Which teams are those, Chris? Which
So
kids?
our varsity Valorant team, our varsity Rocket League team, and our varsity Smash Brothers team.
Is that Davion? Any
Yeah,
of
our
those?
Smash Brothers team. Yeah, Davion, who was here with the mentor program.
Yeah.
He's a state ranked
Yeah, he is.
player in individuals. He does
Mhm.
separately outside
Yeah.
like a community. Yeah, he's amazing. So yeah.
Overall, great kid.
Yeah.
All right, you could talk about Makers Fair.
Okay, yeah, so we had our Makers Fair, like every year. It was a great turnout this year. I couldn't really tell if it was bigger than last year or not.
It's hard to say because we still, like the amount of time that we were there,
Yeah.
it was long,
Yeah, it was
it's hard to
tight.
say.
The field house was full though.
Yeah.
I mean, kids wrapped around the entire track with their booths, their tables. Just lots of amazing stuff like we have every year. We had some food, lots of arts,
like
lots of
food.
crafts. We had one of our high school students, Sam Wells, was there. He does blacksmithing.
Oh,
So
it was
he brought in some
incredible.
of his hand pounded stuff,
Wow.
which was awesome.
We had another high school student that, his own operating system.
Yeah.
And Chris and I were just looking at it, and he was trying to tell us how it's working, and we're going, I mean, we're both tech people. He would get that a little bit more than I would, but we were both just going, whoa.
It was impressive. A middle school student
It was,
wrote his
and
own operating system.
Yeah, it was just very impressive. And of course, his grandparents were there, so proud of him. And you just have kids that, one of the things that I think is so different than even when I was in school, that they know how to draw. And they're so good at it. But it's not just drawing. They're making their own comic books, and they're putting them online, and, like they're showing us. This one table we went to, Chris and I couldn't believe it. The kid had probably 20 comic books that he had already done.
Stacks
And
of them.
Wow.
very impressive. And then a lot of them are into building Lego sets, and the complexity of the Legos that they put together is pretty wild.
Yeah, they
but-
design their own stuff. The one kid had like I guess it was a war scene.
Yes,
designed.
his war scene was
Oh, it was
unbelievable.
amazing.
Then we had a student that, was that resin that she made her costume out of?
It was part resin. Yeah, she had 3D prints where the underside, and then she did some resin stuff on it, fabric even.
It was totally impressive. We also had a student that won the 3D printer from the Springfest raffle, and she was there with all of her 3D print work that she
Yep.
did, which was pretty
That's
impressive.
cool.
I think too, we had a lot of, what was really cool, we had a lot of our school like groups.
Yes.
Like our robotics team was there showing off their robotics stuff. We had our kindergartners were there. We had
With their robots.
so many groups.
And we had a lot of Project Lead the Way. So we had, they come every year, but it's a good experience for them. The prosthetic, where they have to, it's the healthcare pathway where they have to do the prosthetic for their stuffed animal that is in bad shape. I do think, which was really fun, it comes back to this. I know my office will laugh about this. It's the construction clubs. never underestimate that I would apply for something, and I got it. So we get these 6 construction club grants, right? These things come with humongous tubs and stuff that you build. And I was able to talk to the people to let us keep it because we had so much fun with it. So every school got a kit, and the middle school got 2 kits. And one of the clubs that came to the Makers Fair, they brought their birdhouses that they made, and they had all kinds of other cool stuff that they had made with concrete and stuff like that. But it really gives a sense when you think about all the different interests that kids have. The other part of it is that if you come to the Makers Fair, and a lot of them have made things that they want to sell, they're like business people, and you can't come and sell stuff at the business, at the Makers Fair. You can if you donate it. And we give them choices to donate. They can donate it to the Humane Society, they can do the food pantry, and the number of them that they were selling things or taking donations to give to the Humane Society, it also is teaching them some philanthropic type of skills that we hope that they leave with. And so we always have a good time. We're exhausted when it's over with. You can't skip a booth, they'll come chasing you down. And so we pass out all the certificates, but they're smiling, they're happy, and they're so proud of themselves. And it gives them confidence, and so it's a great night. We wouldn't trade it. We love it. It's really a lot of fun. I do have a nice box in my car that my husband's asking me when I'm getting that out of the car. I have a lot of gifts. I have a pillow that was made with my name on it. I have some of the blacksmith work that Samuel Wells did. He gave me a gift that he made. I have this humongous book that a parent made for me that is a scrapbook. It was so heavy, I mean, like, it's like this big. It's really big. And I'm like, oh, thank you. So she was part of the Makers Fair too. Chris is laughing because I literally could walk away with a whole carload full of stuff. And it's just fun. I think kids love that they're recognized and they want to show appreciation. And for that, if we're raising kind and considerate brickies in all of this too, that's a good thing as well. So.
I agree. Mr. Longer?
Well, I need to thank Chris and especially John for their work on the board policy updates. Their expertise and their work makes it so much easier. I'm reminded of years past when even just a phrase in a policy would result in a 3-hour debate with Jim Mellon late at night. So it's certainly much easier than it used to be. All the things said that Dr. Buffington said about the impact of our teachers, I feel as a parent of a former student of Dr. Buffington point out that she is one of them. She's one of the teachers that has touched lives and
Thank you.
Still is a teacher at heart, obviously. We see that from tonight. It would be interesting to know for some of our educators how many of their students in turn became educators.
Right.
Because I think that, in some ways that's got to be the ultimate compliment to a teacher, that somebody wants to follow the same career. And I know there's a lot. There's a lot of students that have left here and gone into education.
And Foreman's Finest, let's mention that. We can't have to squeeze that in, Bill. As you well know, Katie Longer, one of my favorite students, and now she's board president. So there you go.
Mr. Mock?
As I think about Teacher Appreciation Day or Teacher Recognition Day, 2 things kind of came to mind today in particular. This morning we received an email in regards to the PLTW program at the high school, or at the middle school, I'm sorry, that just highlighted the opportunity that our students have. So there they were building, or they designed, had a prototype and then had full production of what they called, I think it was the bedside buddy or something to that effect. That is basically a contraption that allows you to hold your phone or snacks or different things near your bed that you need. So those students actually had a full production. I think they made 24, 25 units. So again, just a great example of the opportunities that we provide. But then this afternoon I was filling in at the ELC for a little bit, and we had a student that needed a little bit more compassion and care. And so our teachers jumped right in to take care of that student's needs to the extent of moving that student from one classroom to the other. The other teacher was like, I will take her. We've got a good rapport, and this is all squared away. And it just goes to show that teamwork and, again, that level of care that our teachers provide to our students. So just thought those were two really good examples in light of the recognition tonight.
Yeah, those are good ones.
Thank you. Mr. Krieg?
I would just say, speaking of the Bricky Mentors, I haven't been directly involved in that, but what I do know is I've been told you always want 3 categories of people in your life. People who've been there, done that, right, in all areas, personally, professionally. People who are in the same boat, like they're right where you are, they're experiencing what you are, and then the third camp is people who haven't been there and done what you've done, right? And so why? Because you pour into people. And so to see the Bricky Mentors up there, what came to my mind was how many of them I've gotten to know because they're getting their associate degrees this year. Many of them are seniors, which would mean they have full schedules and they're in extracurriculars, and many of them have jobs in addition to that. They're volunteering outside of that, and they're choosing, as Dr. Buffington said and Mrs. Mathis said, during the day to invest in others. And so to me, I think that really stands out. And I don't know that you can have fulfillment without doing that. And so I think that's an amazing group of young adults there.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Krieg. And I will just say that was a fraction of them. Our goal was to be 1 to 12, leading a group of 1 to 12. And so, you know, we have over 300 freshmen. So you only saw a fraction of them because, as you suggested, they're all in extracurricular or have jobs, whatever. But we'll make sure that we recognize them. Shujing, I don't want to underestimate her importance in what she helped us achieve in this. She is a worker. Last year, when we worked with Boyana, and I want to make sure she gets credit as well, they did a lot of work on this. And so from a student perspective, and then the logistical side of it had to come from me, and then I incorporated Mrs. Mathis. Mrs. Adams helped me with the master schedule, figuring out the calendar, and then of course we brought in Sean Zolads as one of the administrators to help us keep track of these kids. I should let you know that we gave them free prom tickets along with their cords. We've given them swag, like they have shirts that say Bricky Mentors on them. They're really proud of the work that they've done. I do find it a little bit comical that in some regards they had some tough days with some of them, and they came back and told us that, and they tried to make light of it, went back in, and I love one of the students. This is an interesting thing that I did not share that I think is really important in this to highlight. We had some students in there that did not have good freshman and sophomore years. They didn't. And, you know, Mrs. Mathis and I decided, they volunteered, we would let them in. And it was really great going around listening to them say, don't make the mistake I made. And so this is what happened to me. This is why I'm here trying to help you. And take advantage of opportunities. And it was really just fun listening to how they had grown up. And I have a card from one of the students, it was given to me, and I love when they put, I've grown up. right? And so that's what we want them to do. But we all know that life is about learning every day. And so we all learn and grow. But I think they experience something as leaders that they've never ever had to experience before, trying to teach somebody something, and make sure that it kind of stuck. So I can't say enough about them. I'm so proud of them. And this is something we've been trying to do for a very long time, and we finally did it, right? Not without them, though. Not without them. So thanks for recognizing them again.
Thank you. Mr. Cosby?
To just continue on with that, the mentoring program, I think that's just great to see. My son graduated from here not too terribly long ago, and I remember when he got into high school, one of his goals was to be in the Hall of Scholars, and he fell like just outside of it. And looking back on it as a senior and as after he graduated, I said, it was your freshman year. Like, you didn't take it seriously. You let yourself slip into that hole, and you couldn't overcome it. It was just that little tiny bit, but that made a difference. And
yeah,
to think that, and I remember even when I was in school, my freshman year, I was a fairly decent student, but my freshman year was rough. And I think back to then when, that little bit might have helped, and seeing what they're doing and helping these kids out, maybe it'll make a difference for kids in other ways, not even just academics, obviously a lot of other areas in their lives. So it's a powerful thing to see. It's pretty exciting. To the people who worked on all the policy changes and those documents, we appreciate your help. A lot of hours of reading, a lot of documents. Chris, congratulations to your team and good luck. Best of luck to you guys moving forward. And thank you, Mr. Mock, for sharing that story of the kid that wants to get in open enrollment. I think as a board, it's good to hear, and it lets us know that we're doing something right here. So pretty powerful. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Rogers?
I second all he said.
Mr. Keen?
I will third all he said, but I do have some reports. I did attend a NISEC board meeting since our last meeting. The real big story to bring back from that meeting is that Mrs. Horn is retiring, their director, so they will be looking for a new director over there. Not the rest of it was pretty much normal business, but that's a big story over there. We also had a Parks Board meeting since that. That was a very short meeting. Really no new business, nothing that affects the schools, except that they will be having a community cleanup at the parks on May 9th if kids are looking for opportunities to volunteer and clean up around the parks.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Keen. Mr. Schultz?
I won't repeat it all either. I agree with these guys.
Mr. Porras?
Okay, also, won't repeat it also, but I do want to thank or congratulate Brad Keene and Sandy Hillen for being honored at our recent Region 1 school board meeting last week. Just kind of a testament to all your hard work that you've been doing, and just want to give some positive reinforcement. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Hillen?
I won't repeat either because there was a lot of wonderful things said that I agree with, but I do want to talk about Teacher Appreciation Day because that is something really special here. And I'm going to talk to it from a parent perspective. I was talking to another friend of mine, or another teacher actually, about their kids and going through school. And they said, well, when I got called for this or I got called for that, and I said, my kids weren't angels. They challenged me regularly. But when they came to school, there's never an issue here because they were always so well taken care of, better than what I could do evidently. But their teachers really paid attention to every child and invested in those kids from kindergarten through 12th. And it showed. So teachers at Hobart have been special for a long time. I had recently said that in that postcard that we used, and we highlighted my mom, said there were 3 generations, my mom, 4, there was actually 5. My grandmother went through
Wow, we
Hobart
should have said
schools
that.
as well. So, and her name was Clara Campbell. It was a long time ago, but we all went through, my dad started at Foreman, before that the old school where the middle school was. And the elementary that was out on the west side of town, it was a 1-room schoolhouse. It's where my mother
There's a
went.
picture of that out at door 2.
Is there?
Yeah.
So
That's part of the brick mural.
it's been a generational thing because of the people that are drawn to Hobart because of the good things that go on at our school. So I think that's really, it speaks volumes that this has been generational.
Yes.
And people do come back and they teach here after they leave. So, after they graduate, they come back. And to see those mentors, the one of them talking about teaching, that's exciting. So,
Yep.
and then you have, 3 board members that's our life, our livelihood. So, we always want to come back. And then, just about the mentor thing, I want to thank you, Dr. B, for having the insight and the vision for that, because that saves lives. Those kids that stood up here may have said or done something for a freshman that could really change their trajectory completely, not just with grades, but with successfulness beyond graduation. So it does matter. There's research to show that mentors matter in school.
They really do.
So thank you for having that insight.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to follow with Sandy. Same thing with the mentors. It's kind of funny as wearing a parent hat and a school board member hat, so you get a little bit of both. Those kids don't listen. They just don't listen. So to have their peers, they may be a little older, but to have their peers actually relate to them, their stories, is much more impactful than anything I could say as a parent to my child, or I could say as a school board member to that child. The peer is the most important thing. And so to have the peers and the other students here at Hobart High take time out of their schedule to make an impact on their fellow students says a lot. And that it came from 2 of our own students, I think says even a bigger story, that we had 2 students that cared enough and felt strongly enough that we could use such a program, says a lot about what we do here. That would be the first thing I'd like to say. The second thing I'd like to say is, same thing as Sandy, the teachers that we have here in the district, they know their kids. And when I say they know their kids, not just their kids in the classroom, but a lot of them follow those kids year after year. Where I might run into a teacher, hey, how's Zach doing? Hey, how's Amanda doing? They care. They get to know the kids, and they really care, and it goes beyond the classroom, and that says a lot about our district as well. And to the nurses, my fellow peers, they know I love them, I adore them, and they all do a very good job here. When I fill in when needed, if I ever need anything, they're just like, just call me, just do this, just do that. They have me all set up, I'm ready to go. But they are phenomenal people, and it takes a lot to switch hats, to teach, your skills and whatnot. That's a special set too. So not only not only are there nurses, but they're flipping hats around a little bit, and now they're teaching too. And so that says a lot about the people that you've hired and are in that position. Jill and Randy and Jamie, they're one of a kind, and we're very blessed to have them. John, Mr. Longer, Chris, for your extra work on our policies, we thank you. Chris, good luck to your esports team. I can't wait to hear all about it. And with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting.